I struggled, as all people will struggle when they go to this course. But at the end of 10 days, I remember coming out of my cabin and standing in the forest, and something marvelous happened. I suddenly felt this connection with the unity of the universe, and it felt so powerful. I started to cry because I thought, how lucky am I to be alive and have this experience? I am so grateful for what they taught me. This is such a simple technique, yet so profound in transforming me and giving me a path to my own wisdom.
Hi, this is Dale Cross. Welcome to another episode of Soul Inspire. This is the audio video podcast that features spiritually awakening souls sharing uplifting stories to help you on your own unique soul journey. On this episode, it is my pleasure to welcome Heidi Thompson to the show. Heidi Thompson grew up in Canada and moved to Europe to study painting and photography. When she returned to Canada, she worked as a photographer, fine artist, teacher, and book publisher. Heidi's lifelong interest in meditation led her to attending a 10-day meditation retreat where she learned Vipassana and Anapana. Hopefully I'm pronouncing those correct. These techniques are fundamental teachings passed down from Gautama Buddha as a way to free the mind from conditioning and experience peace. We all want more peace. Heidi has been practicing Vipassana for more than 35 years and believes that it positively changed her life. So we're going to talk a bit about that today. She wishes that everyone who is seeking peace could experience the life-changing and consciousness awakening benefits from this simple practice. In the 1990s, Heidi, mother of one daughter, saw the rise in ADHD among children and wanted to help. She pioneered, this is so awesome, an attention developing program called Mind Mastery and was one of the first to teach breath awareness to children in public schools in Canada. Her efforts were supported by Deepak Chopra, David Suzuki, and Daniel Goldman. She was invited to Kelowna TED Talks and still offers workshops for school counselors. Based on the success of Mind Mastery, she compiled instructions, teaching strategies, and stories into a practical how-to guide called Calm, Focus, Joy, the Power of Breath Awareness, a practical guide for adults and children. Calm, Focus, Joy offers one of the most comprehensive teaching guides for adults wanting to learn breath awareness and teach it to children. An awesome book. Presently, Heidi works mainly in her art studio, painting large, colorful, abstract paintings. Her aim is to express the energy, light, and movement and provide the spectator an optimistic experience. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dale. Thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. So let's have a little conversation. Let's just back up a bit and let's because this is focused on spiritually awakening souls sharing their spiritual journey. So let's go back to your childhood. And is that where your spiritual journey started? Let's just start from wherever you want to start with regards to your spiritual journey.
Well, it did start back in my childhood. Now that I think about my childhood as an adult, I'm sure many people could relate to a sense when you're a child of feeling alone, feeling like you had a lot of questions about life, and also feeling a deep moral sensitivity. This is something I remember when I was young. I felt there was something about being right and wrong. I was drawn to people who spoke about God and about spirituality. It was something in me. I would go to different churches with my mother who experienced many different techniques in churches. So she would drag me along to, I would say maybe 15 different types of churches, everything from your regular Anglican church to Christian Science Monitor at the time, to dancing around with some people chanting Indian chants. They were sort of hippies. So my mom also was on a search, and I just accompanied her, and I felt quite comfortable amongst people who spoke about God, religion, spirituality, and goodness. And I'm sure a lot of children, even when they're 9 and 10, they start perking up to those things if there's something inside them and it speaks to them. So it started when I was very young. My mother ended up having a guru in India who came to visit her one year in the 60s. And I remember I was 10, he came to our home and he blessed me and my sisters, and he called us angels. And there was something about the connection with this person, this gentle, kind, loving person. And after that, I asked him before he left back to India, I said, could I write you a letter? And he said, yes, you can write me letters. So as I was 10, I found writing letters to my mother's guru very rewarding, because he would write me back and explain things like, yes, I know you fight with your sisters, but just be good and kind. So he would always give me advice on how to deal with my sisters, how to deal with life. And the funny thing is, all my life, he would write back to me. So when I was in Europe, and I was there for about 8 years, I remember having a spiritual experience, which I thought was a spiritual experience. It was this crazy half wake, half dream experience of all sorts of crazy things. And I thought, oh, I have finally reached my goal of some kind of enlightenment. And so I wrote him a letter, and he said, calm down. What you're experiencing is something of the body, something of the mind. You go into a different state. Do not hang on to this. Do not think that you're at the end of your path. You've just begun. And he kind of guided me back to ordinary life, looking at things more realistically and not hanging on to these so-called spiritual experiences, which I was really seeking. He said, no, don't seek those. They'll come if they come, and just carry on. And then a few years later, I was still in Europe, and he wrote me the occasional letter. I went to another place where my mom introduced me to. It was in France. It was an ashram for Vedanta philosophy, and they had gurus and leaders and teachers there. And I met another Swami Richardinanda, and I went to him and I asked him, I forgot to mention, at this ashram, I was 23, and they told me I had to leave. And I was so heartbroken. And I went to see the main teacher, and I said, why are they asking me to leave this ashram? And he said, the monks are having problems with you here. You must go. And I was just heartbroken. I thought, this is ridiculous. And so I asked the teacher, and he said, you know what? You need to find your own raft, and it could be any kind of spiritual practice. Everything will get you where you want to go. But your raft may be different than this ashram. And that gave me courage to go out and find my own path. And the most wonderful part of that is that when I came back to Canada, I thought, oh, Canada, the land of barbecues and bathing suits and beach parties.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, how will I ever find my path here? But I couldn't live any longer in Europe. It was getting ridiculous. And I was walking down my little town of Vernon, as you know, Dale, little Vernon. And I saw a poster in the window, and it said 10-day Vipassana course. I'm going, oh, this is interesting. So I called them up and asked them questions. And I was very, very concerned that it was going to be one of these cult-like organizations that will take all my money and run. So I kept asking questions. You say that it doesn't cost anything? How could that be? You say that you have to be silent for 10 days? How could that be? And I asked them so many questions. Oh, I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and sit and meditate for 10 hours a day? How could that be? I could never do that.
Mhm.
And they said, just come and try. We don't force you to do anything. You can rest as much as you like. And it's free. So, of course, being a young person without much money, I decided this sounds right. It sounds serious. And I wanted something very serious.
Right.
And this 10-day course, it was in 1986. I struggled, as all people will struggle when they go to this course. But at the end of 10 days, I remember coming out of my cabin and standing in the forest, and something marvelous happened. I suddenly felt this connection with the unity of the universe, and it felt so powerful. I started to cry because I thought, how lucky am I to be alive and have this experience? I am so grateful for what they taught me. This such a simple technique, yet so profound in transforming me and giving me a path to my own wisdom. The light's flickering off and on, maybe that's a sign.
That's right.
And since that first course, I just continued going. I wanted to learn the technique well. That led me to children's courses and helping out there. That led me to the courses that I taught in schools. And I have never looked back. And it's a technique that changed my life and made me very aware of how my mind works and how I can get trapped in my mind and how to come out of that prison that our mind creates for us. That's a long story, but that is my story. And I just want to share with people the simple technique, where they can go and experience it for free. It's the only beautiful free thing in the world.
Beautiful.
You can donate if you want to donate, but you're only allowed to donate if you want somebody else to go. So it's, unless you've had a good experience, you don't donate. But once you've had the experience, you feel like, oh, I want everybody to go, my family, children.
Right. Because it was so impactful for you.
Yeah. So that's pretty well my story, dear.
Fantastic. So would you say that Vipassana, the key thing that it gave you, from what I'm hearing with our conversation, is it allowed you to get out of the trap of the mind? Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit, how that worked?
Yes. This is very simple. Vipassana means, it's a Pali word, to see things as they really are. What could that mean? So during the 10 days, what they teach you, there are two techniques they teach you. One is called Anapana, translated means breathing in with awareness, breathing out with awareness. And the second technique they teach you is Vipassana, to see things as they really are. Because our minds are so untrained and we're all over the place and we're constantly in our imagination, for the first 3 days of the 10-day course, they teach you Anapana. So you wake up in the morning, you sit in the hall, and you focus your attention on this area underneath the nose. That's all. And you can feel the sensations from the breath when it passes over it. Right now it's very, very hot in Vernon, and I feel a little sweat here, but when I breathe, I feel the cool air passing over. And you focus on that for 3 full days. And what that does, it trains your mind to become very, very subtle, very sharp, that you can feel every single thing that's going on in this area. The pumping of the blood, the stinging, the coolness, the heat. And 3 days of training makes your mind ultra sharp. You can hear a pin drop in the room, and you're going, whoa, I never would have heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
So once your mind is ultra sharp, and it takes a bit of struggle because our minds are wandering all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've created this tool of sharp observation, then on the fourth day, they teach you Vipassana, which is the technique that Buddha discovered when he sat under the tree and was watching his breath. And he realized suddenly he started doing this and all these things happened. So what happens is your mind is sharp. Then you take your mind inside your body. You start at the very top of your head until you feel a sensation. It takes a little while, but suddenly you start feeling, oh, it's a little hot. It's a little stingy. There's a bit of pressure. And then very slowly, you pick out your own path. You go around your head, over your forehead, through your eyes, and you go down through your body, your shoulders, your arms, your fingers, only moving when you feel a sensation. And then you go right to your toes, and then you travel back up again. So for the next 4 days, that's all you do, is from the head to the toes, from the toes to the head. After the 4 days, then you penetrate inside. You go inside your head, inside your body, inside your stomach and your heart, and you can feel everything. It's remarkable how your mind suddenly becomes this antenna, this it's like a microscope. And that's only after a few days of practicing. And so for the 10 days, the last day you're allowed to talk and you sort of come back to your normal life. What happens, and this is the miracle of the technique, because you're focusing on sensations, your mind's attention is not in your thoughts or imagination. As soon as you start dreaming or thinking about what you're going to do when you get out of this hard meditation course, because it's pretty hard, you know, you start wondering, or you think about your relationships or what you should have said to that guy when he told you that, and you start getting mad, and then you realize, oh, my breath, I'm not focusing on my breath. Oh, I've lost my sensations. And you pull your mind back. And that exercise of pulling it back further trains your mind to be very strong. And then the miracle happens about day 7. You see, while you're not in your mind, you're not running away from your body, which we do ever since we're born. You know, the baby starts crying. Why? Because they feel hungry and they want food. So all our life, we've been trying to run away from pain, or we've been yearning for pleasure. From the moment we wake up in the morning and need our coffee to when we go to sleep and we can't sleep, we're tossing and turning in pain, or we're going on trips, or we're doing yoga, or we're playing music. We're trying to get away from that physical pain, that discomfort of sensations. And until you turn your attention inside your body, you think you're not in pain. But if you sit with your sensations for an hour, I could bet you're going to feel a lot of pain. Right. So by staying with the pain, which is there all the time, you're just always distracted from it. This is what happens. Your suppressed pain from all the things you've experienced in your past that you've pushed down and you're covering up, you give it a pathway to come up through your body sensations. And you'll suddenly feel a sharp pain in your hand, or your old wound in your leg will start pounding, or half your body will become numb, or you'll start shaking. And what are you doing? You're allowing suppressed sensations that you've suppressed to be released. And the key moment in this technique is when these painful sensations manifest. If you stay calm and you watch them, even smile and watch them and watch them and watch them, They might last an hour. They might last the whole day. But if you keep letting them out without suppressing them, they go away. And over, after about the 7th day, one painful thing comes up, you stay with the pain, it goes through your hand or your body or your head, but not your imagination.
Mm.
And you have now reconditioned your reaction. So no longer does your subconscious react against that pain without you knowing and suppress it and hate it and run away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You have now changed your reaction to the pain by using a calm mind. And this suddenly changes the whole, all those problems, all those what they call defilements or anger, greed, envy, all the darkness in that we do have in us. I know we have it.
Absolutely.
You have a way to let it come up, smile, and then let it go.
Beautiful.
You're not suppressing it. You're just, and when you leave the 10 days, you go, wow, that was hard work. What did I accomplish? On your way back from those 10 days, when you're driving back, go for your coffee or whatever you do, you go into the normal world and you look around and you see all these people in absolute pain and you go, oh, please. I wish you peace. I wish you this experience, because we all walk around with that pain. It's in our faces, it's in our body, it's in our diseases, everything is all there. And there is a way out of suffering and pain. And this Vipassana is so simple to do. It's so easy, yet it's so profound.
So this helps you would say, obviously, so this is a technique that helps you become hyper aware, obviously, and it trains you away from the mental programs and the mind, how the mind in the imagination, and it helps you to observe both physical and emotional pain. Yes. So observing it without identifying it.
As well.
What's that?
As the physical, you also are able to observe how your mind changes and how it, so you become the observer.
The observer. And by doing that, you liberate yourself from the identification with the pain and realize that you are not your body, you are not these things, you are the observer. Yes. Or does that sound about right?
Exactly. And the greatest wisdom, this is a development of wisdom, is that you see something manifest, it's painful, but if you keep watching it, guess what happens?
Dissolves.
That's it. And that's life. That's everything. Everything manifests and dissolves.
One of this sounds kind of similar to I was dealing with last summer, especially panic attacks. I was dealing with panic attacks, which is very odd for me because I'm usually very peaceful. But these panic attacks came up. So it was obviously something that I was meant to work through, to release. And I decided to stop running away and stop resisting it and just allow it to be. So I invited it to get stronger. And as soon as I did that, it always dissolves.
That's just,
that sounds kind of similar.
That is the very, because it's the law of nature. It's what happens. It's, we experience it all the time. We just might not be able to describe it or use it for health reasons.
So it seems like, would you say the majority of people on the planet with the conditioning of their minds and so on, we're constantly in a state of running away from pain and running towards pleasure, I guess?
Absolutely, because we're addicted to sensations, or we want to get rid of them. The root, as this is what, when at these courses, they actually translate Buddhist teachings, which he didn't write, but his disciples wrote everything after he died. They wrote it all down. What happened is he kept talking about sensations are the key. And then over time, people started not understanding sensations and they mixed it up with the word feelings. And feelings are just a bunch of emotional things. And he tried to make it clear the root of all our problems is how we react to the sensation of pain or sensation of pleasure. We're either craving the pleasure and becomes a bad habit, or we're running away or avoiding it or talking too much to avoid. So that's so simple.
How does this relate to people that are addicted to the pain? So this is a slightly different distinction, obviously, but some people actually wallow in, wallow in their own vomit, so to speak. And they wallow, like they feel sorry for themselves. Years ago, I had this habit. Oh, I feel so sad for myself. It's a very disempowering emotion, right? Is that also running? That's not running away from pain, is it? Or
in the courses, we can't speak, but we can ask teachers questions at the end. Sometimes people will, and I'm talking about my own experience, I will be going through 10 days of dealing with some really old problems, like my parents, for example. And I would be crying. And I thought, oh, crying is good. And they said, no, crying is just it's kind of what they call, it just, you cry and then you think about what's making you cry and then you cry again. And it's a circle, a vicious circle of creating a mental image, reacting to it, and then creating a mental image. And you never get out of your mind. You're constantly, they call it rolling in your misery. And it's addictive. It's like when you talk about someone you don't like, let's say you're with a friend and you talk about someone who's hurt you or something from your past, and you keep dwelling on it, and it makes you feel like a victim, and it enrages you, and now you're enraged, and you just keep making even worse pictures about this person. So you just roll in it. But this teaches you to stop rolling, go back to your sensations, and that as long as you're with your sensations, you cannot think. Your attention can only be in one spot. It's either with your sensations or your thoughts. You can't be both places at once. And you'll experience that when you're trying to do the technique. You try, you think you're jumping, but you're just jumping back and forth. Right. But if you can keep your attention away from all those thoughts, you can stop that vicious cycle of feeling like a victim or feeling like someone's hurt you or you don't like somebody. There's one funny thing you can try. Let's say you're around your parents or your brother or someone who's not really your friend, and they say, you kind of know they're going to say things about you that you're going to react to. Let's just say they're mad at you and they're reprimanding you for something. If you're in a situation where someone is going to start attacking you with words, just go into your sensations, feel the sensations, let's say in your heart and your stomach or your head while they're talking at you, and see what happens. The most amazing thing will happen. You will not react to their words because you're focusing on your stomach, right? Oh, gee, my stomach's feeling a little funny. And they can't stand it. They don't know what to do because you're not reacting, and they just lose it. It's quite a funny thing to watch. In a way, it's kind of sad, but it shows that if you're not reacting and rolling with them, and just stay with your sensations and go, oh, yeah, their words are making my stomach turn or making my heart pound or making me really angry, but I'm just going to stay with the sensations, and you just stay with them while they're talking at you. Just try it. It's fantastic.
This reminds me
parents, especially, like just let them ramble on, but
Right.
stay with your sensations.
This reminds me of years and years ago when I worked in a call center, and we'd have all these people swearing at us, and
Exactly.
they would, but I would just stay calm, and then eventually, the person would apologize to me. Oh, I'm so sorry, I lost it. And is that the similar thing?
Very similar. That's exactly right. Yeah.
But you said they lose it. Now, do you mean they lose it?
Well, if they want, want the fight, right? And you're not
Oh,
giving
I
them.
see. But eventually they calm down, right? Because
Yeah.
the energy must
Yeah.
equalize at some point, right? So you,
And as you're doing that, if you send them a loving kindness, you
hmm,
can affect them in a nice way, like those people you were saying apologize.
yeah,
Suddenly they realize what they've just done, and nobody wants to hurt anybody.
no, those customers are just frustrated. So, but it was always interesting because I would almost always get people calming down at the end and often, I think, apologizing and then, yeah, or I would say, I understand your feelings, sir, in a very calm way. You have every right to be upset, sir, and then things like this. That being said, I really didn't enjoy that job though, but it wasn't because of that. It wasn't because I just didn't like the monotony of sitting there, answering a call and then another call. And so I didn't last very long in that job, nevertheless. But okay, so now with these retreats that you're talking about, are they available all over the world or?
All over the world. When I first started going, there were only 2 centers in North America.
Oh,
Now there's hundreds all over the world.
mhm.
I can,
So
um,
people would just Google that or?
they Google Vipassana taught by Goenka. Goenka passed away a few years ago. I did meet him
Mm,
and ask him about teaching children, and he was very kind.
mm,
But you just go Vipassana and you spell it Vipassana courses. And it'll come up, and you have to fill out quite the form to go, because they don't want someone who is either just coming, like they really want to know you before you come.
mhm,
And if you're maybe not quite ready, because one of my friends, an older woman than me, she wanted to go,
mhm,
but she said she was on medication for psychological problems
mm,
and this and that. And they said, well, give it another year and then we'll reassess your application. Because sometimes your mind is so in turmoil that being aware of your breath is just too much to
yeah,
expect.
right.
So they do take care that someone who they believe might not be able to do the breath awareness to start with, that they're very careful that they don't, take someone in that might have too many problems right now.
Very good, very good. Yeah, because I've heard of people that have maybe say something like schizophrenia, and then they try meditation. I mean, I've heard of it, and then they don't do very well.
No, they have to be of certain mental capacity and
Mm,
emotional stability somewhat. But
yeah.
when I was at one of the courses, sometimes you would share a room with someone and you would never really look at them or talk to them because you're in silence and you
Mhm,
really respect each other's silence. And I noticed that she would often skip going to do the meditation and she would just sleep. And I was quite young then and thought, oh, she's not really working very hard.
mhm.
Then I find out the end of the course, she was just coming out of heroin addiction. And I was like,
Oh, maybe not a good match.
she did actually really well.
Oh, okay. She did
But
well.
this is a beautiful technique to come out of addictions. This is
Oh, okay. That's good. So pretty much anybody can apply to these centers and they take very good care and they make sure that nobody has a mental illness. Obviously, that's the one of the, or and that they're ready to do this.
serious, yeah.
Yeah, like a serious mental, and that they're ready to do that. Okay, well, it's very good that they take care of that. Now, how did this apply with what you learned? You say that you experienced transcendent unity consciousness. And would you, when you came out of it, and would you say that this is what led you then to teaching children?
Well, that experience of being connected with all your, basically, you become aware of all the buzzing and energy inside your body to the point where you really do feel like you have basically dissolved into everything because you're aware of it and you're
Yeah.
feeling it and you can feel the sensation.
Mm-hmm.
That experience was profound, and I have it not often, because the courses really help you go that deep. So when I'm just working at home, I don't have that very often, but I get close.
Mhm.
But what I did was start going to the children's courses. And at the children's courses, they teach all over the world. You can drop your children off there.
Mhm.
They teach children the anapana, breathing in with awareness, breathing out with awareness. So for 3 days, children are taught just this technique, because Vipassana, the other technique, goes too deep for children. It's too serious. It's like mental cleaning. So, but Anapana is so good for children. You can start teaching them even when they're 2 years old. You can sit with your child. I was pregnant when I went to one of my courses, and I would sit with my baby, and then my 1-year-old and 2-year-old, she would sit on my lap while I'm meditating.
Mhm.
And when she got to understand things, I'd say, just feel your breath, just breathe in and breathe out. And she loved doing that because
Nice.
she immediately felt good. And kids just love doing it. And so I took these, I was helping out, volunteering at about 10 or 15 children's courses. And I thought, this could change the world, right? If you could introduce this technique in schools every day, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a half hour. Can you imagine after 12 years of having that every day, that inner calm, peace, and connection with yourself and the development of your focus?
Yep.
The world would be a different place. So I had this big mission. I was going to change the school system.
Right.
And I went at it with that ambition, because I thought, well, there's a lot of Vipassana meditators, and they can go into schools if they have a way to do it, because schools are very careful not to teach religion or anything like that in schools.
Yeah.
So I had to I got the translations of these words, like breathing in, breathing out with awareness. So I call it breath awareness. That's not religious to be aware of your breath, is it?
No, not at all.
So I rewrote my program, even though there was a little mention of where it originated at the bottom of my program sheet. And I introduced it to normal schools. And this was in the 90s. Oh, we want you in. We have this special program for special teachers. You're allowed to come in and teach this. And it was so effective. I would go in for to a classroom 10 days in a row, grade 3 and 4s. And they would do this. They would start with 1 minute. Then they would go up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. By the end of 10 days, they were sitting 45 minutes. I wouldn't go longer than that, because again, I want to be very careful not to get too much stuff coming up, because
Yeah.
then the kids would do some art afterwards and write in their journals. And what they wrote, I swear, was like psychology 101 at university level. They had so much awareness of their mind and how to control it, bring their mind back, what a sensation is, and how to deal with the sensations. It was amazing. The insight and wisdom that those little kids gleaned made me so excited that this is exactly what's missing in schools.
Beautiful.
And
Wow.
that was in the 90s, and it never really took off, because
Okay.
there's
Why didn't it take off, do you think?
well, here's what happened. I invited the Vipassana Foundation to come and monitor the courses. So they would come in, the professionals would come in that are very experienced, and they would see that I'm teaching it properly, because the biggest problem is not teaching it properly. So I got the green light and said, yeah, everything looks good. Then somewhere in the world, some other people were teaching the technique, but they were adding in things like slow walking or watching the clock or counting. They started mixing techniques.
Oh.
And they realized that this technique, if it gets mixed with anything, it won't be effective. It might be nice on the surface, but you won't get to the deep rooted problems. So they had to basically say to everybody, nobody's teaching anything. We're going to stick with exactly the teaching as it should be taught. And it's better that not that many people are teaching it if it's going to be taught wrong. So I just respected that and just sort of went on with my life because I didn't want to, I didn't want to be, you can't say, oh, my way was the right way. So I just respected their.
You went with the flow.
And they say it got so, over in 2,500 years when it was first taught, it got so mixed with religion and mixed with this and mixed with that, that it lost its effectiveness, and we don't want to lose that power that it has.
Gotcha.
That
gotcha. And you wrote a book. Tell us
a book
about that.
While they were still, they read the book and gave, it was all good, and they saw the programs and everything was good.
Calm, focus, joy, right?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Oh, let's take a look. There we go. Now, if people in our audience want to get a hold of that book, how can they? Is it still available?
It is. I have really no connection. I think I just put it out there on Amazon, and then it got picked up by all sorts of different books. There's a company that will print them on demand. I have no idea, but it's available. Don't ask me where, but it is.
Oh, well, I hope you still get some benefit from it. Okay, so people can type in calm, focus, joy on Amazon, and it should come up, right? As an ebook.
Yeah.
Right, or print on demand.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So do you have any, if there's one last thing that you could share with our audience that you'd love to share that you feel would be inspirational, what would it be?
If you feel that there is something soulful and spiritual about life, there is. And just keep looking. You're on a path, and you will find the teacher that will help you. Don't give up, because it's there, and it's beautiful, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's the purpose. It's why we're on the planet. Our purpose is to awaken that consciousness and awareness within us. That is the purpose for our life. So please pursue it and know that you will find what you're looking for. Beautiful.
I think that was well said. Now, let's wrap things up. I really enjoyed this. Has been a delightful interview, and I think this will be so wonderful for our listeners that want to connect with some new techniques. Vipassana, am I saying it right? Vipassana,
yeah.
And Anapana.
Yeah.
Right, and you can Google that and look it up, and there's a vetting process that you would go through, of course, because they want to make sure that you are suitable to do this, which I think is very good for safety purposes.
If there's anything, there are a lot of wonderful things out there, but find the one where you have to be a monk and accept charity for 10 days, or it doesn't work.
Right, so it is a free thing. You don't have to pay for it. Very good. And where can people get a hold of you if some people in the audience would like to get in touch with you? Are you open to that, or can they email you?
I have a website.
Okay, what's that?
It's HeidiThompson.ca.
HeidiThompson.ca. And okay, is that the best place to get a hold of you?
Yeah. Perfect. Contacting. And actually, I have one page on my website, my art website, links to my book. That's the only promo I have of it.
Oh, so, there you go. So if you want to get, I would suggest get the book through Heidi. I think that would be great.
Well, no, because I only have like 5 copies here.
Oh, okay. Go to Amazon then.
Wherever you get it, let me know.
go to Amazon then, I guess. Okay, it's definitely there, right? Okay, perfect. So thank you so much. It's been a real delight to have you on Soul Inspire, Heidi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That's another thank you for tuning in to another episode of Soul Inspire, the audio video podcast that helps inspire you on your own unique soul journey within the inclusion of fascinating and very uplifting stories from my guests. Thank you very much. See you again next time. The Soul Inspire podcast is brought to you by DaleCross.net. Discover the freedom, bliss and ecstasy within you. At dalecross.net, I can help connect you with your soul's purpose, passion, and mission. Your soul signed up for something great. Discover what it is with the tools I offer. Book a free one-on-one consultation now at dalecross.net and live your greatness.